That is the only wrong decision ever, is the one that you never made.
Hey, welcome to Smart AF. I'm your host, Torie Mathis. We have got a great show for you today, so let's get started. Hey everybody, what's up? I'm your host, Torie Mathis, and I'm here with founder of Miles for Time, Automotive Museum, Sean Mathis.
How's it going?
Hello. And today we're here talking decisions. I saw this post the other day, and it was a business type person, and they were talking about how they make important decisions. And I thought it was super unique because their ways of making decisions are very different than my ways of making decisions. Their way of making decisions first was to pull a tarot card. I thought that was awesome.
That'll work. That's one way of doing it.
Like, it's a good way to take some action. But it's also kind of a good way of like putting it off onto something else. Like if the decision goes bad, it was the tarot card. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting way of doing it. So possibly not the way that I do it, but if that's what works for somebody, then I think that's cool.
I think we should implement that.
You do?
And just random tarot cards. I don't know, how do you even apply that?
I don't have tarot cards, but I think the kids have a magic 8-ball. So let's just...
Okay.
All the life decisions. That's what we're going to do from now on. But really, like, Sean Mathis, how do you make... what's your process for making decisions?
Luckily, I don't make a whole lot of decisions. Not really. Even at the museum, I don't make a whole lot of decisions unless I guess with the exception of layout in a museum, and even that, I don't think of anything specifically. I might have like an idea of what I want to do, but then I don't even know if it works until I'm there, and then when I'm there, I might switch it anyways.
I don't think you realize like the amount of decisions you probably actually make per day.
It's exhausting.
You must be very like nonchalant-y, that's a word, about your decisions.
I think I am, because a lot of it, I don't think there's a wrong decision. There's either the do it or not do it, but then there's also like when it is something that you need to do, there's so many different ways of doing it that I don't think I put too much effort into that aspect of it. More of a off the cuff, whatever winds up happening, that's the way I do it.
Well, I think the making decisions, I think, is so difficult for lots of people that it paralyzes them to the point that they do not act at all. And I know for me, like even from a really young age, I always my whole entire thing was like, close your eyes and jump. Like whatever it is, like overthinking it or doing it, like if you're gonna, whatever it is, like even like joining the army, like I knew I wanted to do it, but I could have been like thinking about it and overthinking it. And well, what if it should have been the Air Force? And I could have been like fucking everybody else and never joined. No, it was one of those like close my eyes and jump things that I knew I was gonna do it. I made the decision quickly, wasn't gonna overthink about it, and I wasn't gonna be scared, I was gonna be excited. And I have always tried to kind of be that way with any of the decisions that I'm going to make.
I think that's probably what my thing is that I don't even realize that they're decisions, because I make the decisions so quickly that I don't stew on too much, unless it comes to buying cars, in which case...
Sean is a research maniac.
Yeah, it may take me 3 or 4 months to actually buy the car.
You definitely have a process, because Sean is a researcher. So though you do make decisions quickly, you definitely go into research mode and then make an informed decision. If you think about it though, like you might say like, you don't make decisions. Like we have made super duper big decisions that like people don't make, like moving across the country.
We make these decisions quick though.
We do. I think that we kind of talk about it a little bit, but we don't say we're going to do something unless we're going to do it. And then we're really big of that, like, shit or get off the pot. Like, are we going to do it? Is it the best thing? Fucking let's do it.
There's the initial conversation. Hey, here's an idea. What do you think? Okay, here's, pros and cons. let's do it. And then we do it. There isn't, let's come back to this in a week, and see if we still feel the same way. Or let's see if there's another opportunity, tomorrow.
Well, for example, like we left. So after we had Riley, Sean went to Afghanistan. He was still in the Air Force National Guard, went to Afghanistan, came back, and we decided we did not want to be in California anymore. And so it was like, here's why. Like, we want to raise our kids somewhere different. We had one kid. We just had Riley at the time. We liked being around family, but like how far is okay to be away? Like, let's try somewhere else. A little bit of research, weigh the pros and cons, let's do it. And I think people were probably surprised. Like, they left? They're really leaving? Like, yeah, for real, we're gone.
And we owned a house at the time.
Yeah. I mean, we had to make some hard decisions for that. But I think we did what at the time we thought was the best. And I've never thought like, oh my God, maybe we made the wrong decision. Like, no, we knew at that time that was the right decision for us. And I have never looked back. And I try not to do that with any decision that I've made. Because once you start doubting yourself and once you start, getting into that what if type of thing, like never even crosses my mind.
Yeah, the decisions then start to get harder and harder, even though the decision itself isn't necessarily any more difficult than any other decision. But because you've second-guessed yourself so many times, it becomes extremely stressful, really. I mean, you can give yourself anxiety just thinking of, do I wear the black shirt or the blue shirt today? Shit doesn't matter. Just pick one.
It doesn't. And if you look back on other decisions, like as long as you go into things like confidently, like no matter what happens, this is the right one. I know it is. Like I kind of weigh, I've weighed the pros and cons, and you make it from a place of confidence. Like don't even doubt yourself. Then you're not going to doubt what you did because you did it from the right place at the time. Things always change. Things don't work out. Things never work out like you thought they would. But if you trust that the path that you're on and that you always try to move forward, I think whatever decision you make is the right decision. Like the wrong decision is just the one that you never made and you sat there forever and then you start to regret that you never did anything that you really wanted to do.
That is the only wrong decision ever, is the one that you never made.
Yeah.
Remember that. Like no matter what decision you make on things, as long as you make a decision, it's the right one.
Yeah.
Because there's no way of knowing that even if you made, instead of choosing B, you went with A. There's no way of knowing that if you chose the other one, the outcome wouldn't have been worse.
Yeah, thinking about and trying to, like, in your mind, figure out what could have happened or what, like, it's such a waste of time because, like you said, like, you can't connect the dots in that way to say that this precise decision led to this. So I think you always have to.
Yeah, so starting Miles Through Time, that was a major decision.
For sure.
I didn't necessarily want to do it just yet. For various reasons. One, I had just started working with Torie full-time, plus there was all the doubt of I've only got one car and I don't actually know what I'm doing and all the headache that goes with all of it.
But it was such a great opportunity that I think you knew you would look back and think, I didn't make the decision, I didn't go
ultimately,
for it.
The reason that we went forward with it was that I would have regretted it for the rest of my life if we wouldn't have at least tried. I was more prepared to try and fail miserably than to not even do it.
But we were at a good place financially, like with where we were. Like if you went and it was a complete flop or whatever, like we were at an okay place financially that you didn't have to make money at that time.
So it's a good thing because I didn't make any money. It cost money.
Well, and I think that allowed us to, make a lot of decisions that we may not have made. So again, like you always have to make the decision that's best for yourself. But again, I think that if people outside of it looking in probably would have been like, man, I would have said no way.
Well, that's most of what I got. It's like, why are you doing this? Why is it in the place that it's at? Like, why are you here? Like, there's all this doubt of basically telling me I should not have done it because they wouldn't have done it.
Right. There's a lot of things that people wouldn't have done. But I think that something that separates us from what I notice with other people is that we 100% believe that we can figure it out. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out and things work out. Like, it's crazy. They always work out. Like, the money always comes. Like, we've never starved. Like, even during like hard times, like things just always will work out if you let them. And if you always move forward and kind of lean into opportunities and things, they might not work out how you thought. And that doesn't mean that everything's going to be successful. But I definitely think like we can figure stuff out. The museum, figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went from no experience to I know a whole lot now.
Yeah, I think that's the way that you have to do for a lot of things. So in coming up with decisions, Sean, definitely a researcher. I'm a little bit of a researcher too. I think that there's a time and place for that. But I think that you have to cut yourself off to a point, because I think that acting quickly is more important than over-researching. Because too much information ends up stalling your progress.
Now, to be fair on the cars, we never actually have to make any of the purchases. So they're not like a do or die type of decision. So I have time to research, and I actually find joy in the research part of it. So although that process of decision may take a little bit longer, it's not exactly the same as if it was like, some sort of business decision that needs to be made promptly. There's no timeline to it. And a lot of times, I don't actually intend on buying a car anytime soon. I just find joy in learning what options are out there. And then I wind up creating goals for myself that I may or may not keep. I don't really care all that much if, I do a little bit of research and decide that, I want this particular car, and then I do a little bit more research and that's no longer what I want, and there's something else, and then it just takes a little bit of time. And then ultimately though, if we're in a position to do something and it makes sense and I can present a good enough case to Torie to let me buy it, then I do.
I think that's a difference too. Like, I am not going to research unless I fucking mean it right now. You're like, do you want to go test drive cars? No. Because it's like window shopping that I don't need. Like, I don't want to go to the store unless I know what I'm getting. I'm not like
that's me too. Tell me what to buy so I can get in and out.
I'm an in and out kind of person. Like, I want to know what I'm going for. And so I won't put a lot of time or effort in things that I'm not serious about. That way I don't have like too many options or things like that. But like you said, like, I have so many decisions that I have to make on a daily basis that I truly believe in decision fatigue. So less decisions for me are more important.
Well, design, like that, everything is a decision.
Right.
I mean, whether to make the line horizontal or vertical is a decision you have to make. I mean, it's, even if you don't start from scratch like we've talked about, there's still a ton of decisions to get you to the end result. Like, your whole job is decision.
I think the hardest type of decisions for me, though, are ones that are emotionally charged. Like, if I'm upset about something or if I'm defensive about something, like whether or not I should send that email. Like, for me, that's like one of the hardest things. Like, if I'm pissed off and I have to make a decision, like, that is the time that I really have to, I know myself well enough that I know I need to step back, and maybe it's I need to type that email and I need to throw out some curse words and I need to just get it all out, and then I need to step back and come back, not in a long time, but enough time that I don't have that vibrating emotion, because I think that's one of the worst times, at least for me, to make any type of decision.
Yeah, that's never a fun thing to go through. And every once in a while I have that as well, but I've seen.
Yeah, if my face is hot, like, I need to not make a decision. You get that.
Yeah, we've had some difficult clients every once in a while that's a lot of times completely unjustified, which makes it that much more difficult to get over. Like, if you actually did something that was wrong, that'd be entirely different. You're like, okay, maybe they could have handled it differently and not berated you or something. but something wrong happened. But when it's not even justified.
But that's part of doing business. Like,
it is.
I think one of the best parts of not being a business owner was that I could always be like, she's going to handle that. And you always push off like whatever the hard customer or the pissed off person or the messed up job, like to be able to always hand that to somebody else, like is always like the greatest part. That to me is like always because I want to do a good job. I want to do a great job. I want people to, be appreciative of what I've done. And so having things that go wrong, and like we've had some print jobs that went wrong that like it wasn't our fault, but shit happens, and you have to figure out what to do, and you have to figure out like what to do really quickly because clients don't want to wait around. So those are those times that like you just got to say, okay, what is the best for right now? And then you have to 100% just stand by it. Try to do the best that you can, make that decision and make it quick. And maybe some people are better or worse than that. But I think it's one of those things with the more decisions you make, the better you get. And I think the quicker you make them, the better you're going to be to make quicker decisions.
Absolutely.
You think so? I
do. Which is why I'm so efficient at it.
That's why Sean is the decision master. I was wondering how you got so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just put it there. Do this, do that. It's easy.
I can tell you though, I don't think I have ever looked back on a big decision that we've made and said, man, I wish we wouldn't have done that. Even when shit went wrong. Like, you guys, we bought a house in 2006. Like, it was not the right decision. Like, we bought it at the height of the market, right before the real estate market crashed. And I still wouldn't go back and be like, we shouldn't have bought that house. Like, we have learned so much since then. And we've learned things that are like, we didn't know. Like, it's important for us to be a little nimble. Like, we needed to be able to move around. We needed to be able to kind of find our space. And there were lessons learned. Sometimes lessons suck. But I don't think a shitty lesson is worth going like, we shouldn't have made that decision. Do you think we should have bought that house?
I honestly don't even think about it anymore.
I don't either.
Again, that was one of those things that was like, let's buy a house. And so we did. Yeah, and that was difficult because at the time everyone was buying houses. Right. So what did we do? We made offers on like 4 or 5 houses.
4 or 5. Sean would say we made offers on more than that. It felt like a bazillion.
It wasn't like we were running out of homes to be able to buy. And then it was like, all right, this one accepted our offer and we bought it.
Yeah.
Should we have? Doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah.
Because again, you could say, well, if we wouldn't have bought that one, then maybe in 2 years when the housing market crashed, we would have bought something somewhere else, but then we would have been stuck there. That wouldn't have been where we want. Like, you could go down this gigantic rabbit hole.
I always choose to go to the other, it's a good thing we bought that because that got us this and that got us this. And then we moved to here and then, like, whatever decisions that you've made, good or bad, like they got you to where you are right now. And as long as you're always moving forward, like that's always a good place to be. You always want to move forward. Sometimes it's a little back forward.
I think of the trees that we planted, we can go back and see the house and be like, those trees were tiny and we put them there. That's worth it. Whatever. There's no point in stewing on any of this stuff.
No. So whatever your style of decision making is, whether it's making them quick or researching them or pulling a tarot card, like we all have to make hard decisions in our life, in our business, with our kids, with our spouse. Like as long as you're
moving forward,
just
keep moving forward. So if the decision makes you stop, be conscious of that and make a decision because stopping's not good. Just make a decision and keep moving forward. Whatever the goal is, whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is that needs to be done, just keep one foot in front of the other. When you come to a decision, make it and step forward again. You're going to have more and more decisions to make, but as long as you're moving forward, that is the right decision. Not making the decision is the only time you're going to fail.
I think one other thing, that is really important is when I'm making a decision, because you and I are a team. I'm making a decision for us as a team and us as a family. And so if we are making a decision, then it's for the good of us. And we talked about this, earlier, about bringing too many people into your decisions.
Yeah.
Or bringing in the wrong people to your decisions.
And do you need to bring any of those people in?
Man, if it's like stuff like I just need to do, like I would never bring you into every decision. You'd be like, frickin' leave me alone, or things that have nothing to do with you, or
it'd be like asking me what you should wear. Just fucking pick something.
I don't fucking care, right? Right. So you really have to think about who you want to bring, and it's nice to have advisors or people that you trust and stuff like that. But for me, I feel more comfortable and more confident in myself if I make the decision and bring less people into it. Because it's like I said in the very beginning, you don't want to make the decision from the tarot card so that you can blame the tarot card. Like, that's not making decisions with confidence. That's not making decisions going forward. I mean, unless you always have 100% confidence in the tarot card, but make it so that you feel good, that you made the right decision, not I made this decision because my mom told me I should. I think that's one of the greatest things that my mom ever did. I was going through some hard times when I was getting out of the Army. I ended up breaking my hip, and the Army was going to med board me out. And it was a difficult process. It ended up being a huge legal process. And I can remember talking to my mom being like, I don't know what to do. I don't, and I gave her like kind of what was going on and everything. I'm like, what do you think? She was like, Torie, I have no idea. This is your life and you have to make these decisions. I'll listen to you, but I'm not going to tell you anything to do. You have to decide. And at the time I was like, you're a bitch. Why won't you help me? Not really. I wanted her so that I didn't have to make the decisions, so that I didn't have to think about it, so I didn't have to be responsible. Like, it would have been so much easier if she would have just told me what to do, and then I would have did that. And if it didn't work out, it would have been like, that was your wrong decision. But like, that really made me like, fuck, you're right.
I think that's probably the default for most people is tell me what I'm supposed to do. Because it's a lot easier than making your own decision.
Yeah. And whether that means like you think about something or you meditate or you pray, like that decision, that it's got to be that confident, that from you, like you've got to make the decision. It's got to be you. And I think that was one of the best things that she did. Because then I knew, you're right, I shouldn't be relying on anybody else to make my decisions. They don't know what's really going on. I know. Nobody else, like even if I brought somebody in and I told them my stories and everything, they're not able to handle that decision making because they don't have all those details. Even if you tried to tell them everything, like it's impossible. Even for like financial decisions and stuff, you see people bringing in people that are not financially good and asking them for advice on finances. Like, if you are going to get a little bit of input, make sure the people that you get input from are the right people. But I really think that you should keep it small, keep it to yourself, and be confident in what your decisions are. Anything else to add, Sean Mathis?
I concur.
He concurs. So if you like this episode, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks. If you want to get smart tools to build your business, go to besmartaf.com.